Hello, this is Rick Powers speaking to you from my home office for Western Technical College. Video introduction to week number 5 for introductory statistics. This is an important subject that we're getting into this week, and that's the idea of probability. And when we say probability requires us to understand that we don't know what's going to happen. It's just like if you're playing a board game, Monopoly or whatever else, and you just roll the dice, okay? You don't know what's going to happen. But you have some ideas of what's going to happen, right? You have a certain range of possibilities in the numbers. And then, as it turns out, if you roll a couple of dice, some combinations are more likely than others to happen. So if you roll the dice and you get double six, well, that's unusual. That's not something you would expect to happen most of the time. And if you've ever played Yahtzee, you know that there's all kinds of combinations and things that can happen and might not happen. But the idea of a situation like that where you roll the dice and you don't know what's going to happen, that's actually how we live our lives a lot. We don't always think about it that way. But if you say something like, well, I have a headache, I'm going to take some ibuprofen, you don't actually know what's going to happen, but you're pretty sure that it'll be like it was before, that when you had a headache and you took these medicines, it would make you feel better and take away the pain. Well, how about a doctor or a health professional who's prescribing a medicine to take care of your diabetes or high blood pressure or something like that? They don't actually know exactly what's going to happen, but they have a probability where they are reasonably convinced that it's going to do some good, right? And so then the balance between what we don't know for sure and what we think might happen is at the fundamental nature of what statistics works with. Because when numbers change, then we don't know what the result is going to be, but we can understand something about the possibilities, and we can make certain predictions based on what we have experienced in the past, but we don't always know if those things connect with what's happening in the present or certainly in the future. So all of that processing of not knowing what's going to happen, that's involved in the idea of probability. And so then we'll be exploring that now, and it's like the point of the term where we're departing from standard mathematics to deal with something that's not, people have not studied very much. And as it turns out, in probability, a number of times that when you get to an answer, it might be a very simple process, but then if you don't understand it, then it's hard to explain what's wrong with the process. How to know whether you're doing it correctly is a difficult thing in probability. So it's really important for you to not be emotionally blocked when you don't understand exactly everything and why it works the way it does. I've worked in this for a long time, and there are times when I feel that same way. Why is this the way it is? I don't understand it. And it's okay to have those feelings, but you just need to keep going and do what you're able to do, understand what you do know, and especially if you're working with numbers, if you have a process, do the process with the numbers. You may not understand it right away, but eventually it might make more sense to you. And so you need to be able to do that here, especially because probability is something that many people struggle with, just in the sense of, I don't understand what's going on. You're correct. You don't. And you're not necessarily going to get to a point where you feel comfortable with it for a while, maybe weeks, maybe longer, depending on the situation. But to continue to work, even when you don't feel comfortable with it, That's important to do, and that's important to learn. And certainly I'm here to help you, right? To answer your questions and to do whatever needs to happen in order to make that work for you as best I can. All right. So best wishes for this week. And let me know if you have questions.